to Waterhouse Forde.
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm recording a video.
What video are you recording?
Well, I don't know yet, because I don't know what we're doing yet.
Oh, right.
But I thought I may as well record the intro.
Oh, okay. So how far did you get?
I've just said hi.
You just said hi.
Well, I've just welcomed.
You just welcomed the viewers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. So what now?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Oh. So in the last video we finished the crankshaft.
Yeah.
Right. So we got all the main bearings in, and the crankshaft is now installed and ready to go.
Yeah.
So the next job is to install the pistons.
Mm.
But that's quite a complicated job. Well, there's a few bits to it. It's not complicated, but there's a few bits to it.
Yeah.
The first thing we need to check is whether the old small end bushes, whether they need replacing or not. So we're going to test those with the new gudgeon pins.
Okay.
And if they need replacing, then they also need to be reamed to fit the gudgeon pin. And that's quite a big job. So that's probably all that we would do today.
Yeah.
But if the old ones are okay, then we can carry on and we can probably get all the pistons installed today.
Yeah.
Alright? So shall we crack on with that?
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll have to get it set up. And yeah, you've kind of jumped ahead a little bit here. But anyway, we'll get set up and then we'll get the camera set up and everything, get all the stuff sorted out on the bench, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Right, I think we've got everything here now. So we've got the 4 connecting rods, number 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're actually labelled, so there's a number stamped on there. And oh, do you know what we don't have is the caps? We need to find those. Right, then we've got 8 bolts, conrod cap bolts, and then these are just the studs and stuff for the oil pumps. So we're just in the same bag. So that's why I've got those. Right, then we've got 4 pistons. We're going to open one pack in a minute. Just for reference, the part number is A45609. And that fits, I believe, all the 85mm engines. Yeah, that's the conrod bearing, Oscar.
Yeah.
So very similar to the main bearings, but now for the conrods, right, that go in there. And then those boxes at the end there, those are the ring sets. So each piston, obviously there's a set of rings that goes onto each piston. We'll put those on last, right, because they're obviously a little bit fragile and we don't want to damage them until we're actually ready to put the piston in. And then back over here, these are the new bushes to go into this is called the small end bearing, and this is the big end bearing, and you can see why, right? But these are the new bushes if these are not suitable, as in if they're not tight enough. And then the last thing is just the conrod lock tabs. So they go underneath the bolts, and we use them to lock the bolts in place so they don't come loose.
Conrod bearing part number is A58430. The ring set part number is A57345. And
Just lay that down,
yeah.
please. I really don't want those damaged. Okay, you want them falling.
The small end bushes are A67437. And the conrod lock tabs are A67167.
Okay. Right, let's find the caps and then we can... But no, sorry, what I wanted to show you was, let's just open up one of the piston boxes so we'll see what's in there. So that's your gudgeon pin, conrod pin, that goes through the piston and through these, and that's the thing that we need to test. New circlips comes with, and then just show the piston. Now the interesting thing about this piston,
It's very shiny.
it's very shiny, which is nice. Obviously it's a standard piston, again we're going standard with everything. But you see this slit in what they call the skirt. So this is the skirt of the piston,
Yeah.
this is the head of the piston, right? there's a slit there, and that's because obviously when things heat up they expand, and that actually allows the piston to heat up and expand without cracking. But also what we need to make sure of when we assemble this, you hold the conrod this way, right? So the bearing is essentially open, right? So you can see the bearing, and the slot, that slit goes that way, okay? So the slit points towards the face of the bearing.
Yeah.
That's very important. And when they actually go into the engine, that slit also needs to face the camshaft in the engine. But again, we'll cover that when we get there. But it's very important to note that, because these pistons are designed to work that way. Okay, because obviously there's a lot of forces on this thing, and it's designed to work in that particular way. So the piston needs to push down on. If you look at this conrod, right, so this is the strongest part, right? This is the strong part here.
Yeah.
And that needs to push down onto the strongest part of the bush. Of the big end, rather than on this side, which is essentially weaker, right? So if you're pushing down that way, then you're pushing onto the cap, not onto this body here. So that's quite important. Okay, so we'll put all that away now. So the first job we need to do is to check these gudgeon pins. Yeah, then you've got two circlips to hold it in, but we'll just put that away for now. Right, so the first thing we need to do is check whether the gudgeon pins fit into these bushes tightly. Now they don't need to be massively tight, but they do need to be firm. You don't want any play, or as little play as possible in there. And we have to check each one, right? So not just the one.
Should I just be a caveman and with it open? Or
yeah, we're going to use them anyway.
Caveman. Okay.
Okay. Right, so test that one. That's a nice firm fit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, but see, we do have some play, alright? Can you feel that?
Yeah.
There's definitely some play there.
We may need to put the new bushes in.
Yeah, I think we might have to. And of course, while we're here, we might as well, right? Because what we don't want to do is finish the engine and then find that we've got a small end knock. Yeah. Okay, so it was firm to go in, but once it's in, it
relaxes.
Yeah, it's just basically getting it in. But once it's in, there's definitely play there.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Okay.
Should we just check if it's like just with that one or something?
Oh, that one's even worse. Try and just line it up. If you put it straight, it'll just slide in.
I think that one maybe.
Yeah, just as bad.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, so sadly we're going to have to do bushes, which is fun.
Play.
Yeah, okay. So what we'll have to do now, we'll have to pop those bushes out and we'll get these ones in, and then we've got to ream them, each one individually, to suit its gudgeon pin.
Yeah.
Alright. So right, we'll have to get set up to do that then. Right, over here at the press, now as you can see, we've actually done one of these already. So you can see we've got the new bush in there, and that's now been reamed out so that this gudgeon pin slides in and can turn freely, but there's absolutely no relative movement between those two parts. Very, very little. Now what I've done, this is conrod number 4. So what I've done, I've just marked on the gudgeon pin 4 white dots on both sides, just so we know, just in case they get muddled up. We're going to try and keep them together. And then I've also marked the piston that this gudgeon pin came out of, the box that it came out of. I've marked that piston as piston number 4 as well. And so that's what we're going to proceed with. I'm going to now move on to doing the next one. And I'm going to try and kind of show you how we do it along the way. So the first thing is, this is a little pusher. Now, if any of you remember our video where we rebuilt the hydraulic pump, you will know that we replaced these little pistons, and that's exactly what this is. It's almost an exact fit for this job. The only thing I had to do was to take 2 thou off of this outer diameter in order to allow this to go through the actual conrod opening. But that inner diameter actually fits perfectly in that bush and allows us to use it as a pusher. So we're going to do that. The other thing that is extremely important to note is that there is a hole in this bush, and of course there's the hole in the conrod where the oil comes up from the big end bearing, comes up the centerpiece, and it comes out there and it's meant to oil this bush. So you have to push it in with that hole aligned, and it's actually really difficult to line those up exactly. You just have to try basically and get it as close as you can. On the first one that we did, it's not exactly lined up, but it's lined up enough that oil will get through. So you do have to, you have to be careful. Right, so we're going to crack on with this. Oscar, do you want to operate the press?
Yeah.
So what we do is put a little bit of oil inside here just to help the bush to go through or go in. So we just oil that up, and then
Safety first.
make sure we got our glasses on. Right, now basically, like I said, we want to line that hole up as best we can. Looks like that's about it there. Now just go up a little bit, please, Oscar.
Ow.
I'll do it. Okay, and then we're just going to pop that pusher in there. Okay. Right, let's press that down.
Okay.
Just gently, see? Hang on, I think this is moved. Hang on, I've got to make sure those holes are lined up.
Okay.
Okay, try again. Keep going. Okay, it's going. Right, go for it. Okay, I've just come around the back to show you. You do get these little shavings coming off of the brass bush as it gets squeezed in. Obviously the brass is much softer than the cast iron, and it basically shaves essentially the back of the bush off as it's going in.
It's a barber's. It's having a shave.
Yeah. Right, we're over at the workbench now. We've got the conrod in the vase. We've got our reamer, and we have our gudgeon pin. So we can see here that the gudgeon pin, there's no way that's going to go in there, it's way too big. So what we do, we take our reamer and turning it backwards, we take it all the way to the top, Now turning forward, we come down. Now, of course, I've got this adjusted down to the minimum, right? So we know we're quite low there, so we can take it up quite a bit. So I might do one whole turn, I think. Once it starts cutting, you basically, well, I found if you just turn 1/8 of a turn at a time, then that seems to work quite well. Okay, so we're not cutting yet. Take it up again. Okay, that's a bit too tight now, so we'll go back half a turn. You can hopefully you can hear the cutting now. Only just, but okay. Now we'll go 1/8 of a turn at a time. I'll try to keep my arm out of the camera shot. Okay. It's quite a slow process. Obviously I'm not going to film the whole thing. You basically just keep going up, kind of 1/8 of a turn at a time. You can feel it cutting there. You want it to be as smooth a cut as possible, so you get a nice sort of chatter-free parallel hole. There is actually a proper tool for doing this job, as you know, the proper jig, which I read about in the Ferguson workshop service manual. Obviously, we don't have one of those, unfortunately, but it basically the whole thing is aligned, so it's a proper jig, and this is obviously kept perpendicular to the conrod, which is obviously, you know, quite desirable, but this is the best that we've got at the moment, so we have to make do with what we've got. And this should be fine, as long as we take our time and do it carefully, do the job properly, it should be fine. And every now and again we just take it out. Give it a good blow. And then just check the gudgeon pin. We've got a ways to go yet, of course, but it's good to check. One other thing just to mention, I didn't show you, after we pressed that bush in, this one actually lined up perfectly with a hole in the conrod, so happy about that. And the way to check that, obviously, put your finger over it and blow air down there, and you can feel the air coming out there. There are also two relief holes, one over here and one over there, so the air, you'll feel the air coming out there as well. But as I say, it's really important to get that hole lined up if you can, or as best you can. It has to be lined up in some way. So we're going to keep going here with this, and then we'll come back when it's done. Right, so we managed to get that one reamed in, and that now you can see it slides in and it's able to turn, but there's very little movement between the conrod and the gudgeon pin, which is what we're looking for. So again, mark that was number 2. So just marked it on there on both sides, so hopefully we don't lose the marks. And those 2 are now done. We're going to move on and do number 1 and number 3. No particular order, it just happened to be the order in which I picked up the conrods. But I think that's probably going to be it for this video. We're not going to be able to go any further today, unfortunately. We're running out of time. Obviously, clocks changed last night. It's Sunday here now, so clocks changed last night, so we're kind of a little bit all over the place in terms of time. But I think, Oscar, we'll leave it there, and then next week when we come back, we'll have all these ready, and we can then assemble the pistons and get them into the engine and hopefully finish off that job, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Any thoughts on all of that?
It took a long time.
It does, it takes a very long time. The reaming does take a very long time. You have to do it literally step by step in order to get it just right. And also pressing the old bushes out, they were quite tough. They were quite tight in there. But anyway, we got them out, and we're just going to crack on, get the last 2 in, and then we'll finish up for the day. So anyway, guys, thanks very much for joining us. Hope that you found that informative in some way. And of course, we look forward to finishing this job next weekend. So we hope that you'll join us for that as well. All right then, cheers for now. Have a good week.
Bye.